Well, protesters are already in Charlotte getting a jump on this week's convention. The protest was called March on Wall Street South. CNN's Joe John spent some time talking to demonstrators today in Charlotte about their motives and their plans.
Gary, here in Charlotte, in the run-up to the Democratic National Convention, the March on Wall Street South had been subject to a lot of hype, but it came off without a hitch, with only 2 arrests and no reported violence.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Wall Street South has got to go!
Between 2 and 10,000 people were predicted for this march. Only a few hundred showed up, but they were loud.
Our children get sicker, your pockets get bigger.
About what you would expect from a march against the banks that make Charlotte one of the country's leading financial centers.
This is what democracy looks like.
Honestly, it was the police who led the way, but not far behind, pushing a bicycle, was an organizer from Occupy Wall Street in New York, who had come over from Tampa, where he had been protesting at the Republican National Convention. He said he'd lost some people after the event in Florida.
We ultimately ended up coming down with a couple of buses, and some other people found their own transportation. Now, as for numbers here, they're a lot less. Half the people ended up going back to New York.
Why'd they do that? Just
a lot of our people have jobs. A lot of people aren't interested in protesting Obama.
For the police in the city, of course, the smaller numbers made the march more manageable. Political conventions of the past have often exploded in ugly confrontation, but not so far this year. What is the recipe for success with these marches? We've seen a peaceful march in Tampa and apparently a peaceful march here, very different from what we saw in Denver and Minneapolis 4 years ago.
I think it's anticipation and communication. You got to anticipate, you have a willingness to meet with people and talk to people, understand what they want to do, and then you try to negotiate yourself through it in order to make sure at the end that everybody's safe.
Protests are expected to continue here on the holiday, including one demonstration featuring members of organized labor. Gary?
Joe, thank you very much. Coming up on CNN tomorrow night.